So before I get started with this next video, I'd like to send a huge shout out to Steph. Many of you may know her in the comments as Steph7738. If you see her in the comments, show her some love, say hello. She blessed me with a super thanks last week over the holidays, and so I truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate the support. She's one of the top commenters on my channel, has been rocking with me since I've started this JonBenet journey, and so I'm truly appreciative. Steph, thank you so much. Keep doing your thing. So we're going to take a look at this second video on the crime scene. See if we can pull some things out, take a look at some things, and then possibly do a little bit further analysis on this crime scene if we can. So let's go. Moving down through the basement. And this is where Lou Smith was asking him about where he was coming down, so what the view would look like if you're going down to the basement. Random ribbon. So when you first come down to the basement, it looks like the wine cellar door is to the left immediately. That's what it looks like. But, well, I don't know what that door is. I was looking at the schematic. I'm sorry. I was looking at the schematic, but you look straight ahead and you go straight to the wine cellar door. That's what it is. You go straight ahead and you have the boiler room and the wine cellar straight ahead. And so honestly, well, I guess the first thing you would do is you would check out the playroom right here, or Burke's play area would have been the first thing that you check out. And then, but also it looks kind of creepy down there. So you probably leave that cellar piece alone for now, maybe if you're kind of intimidated by it. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that when I'm looking at this, and I'll play it a little bit further, we see boxes. We see a chair and just little stuff, right? But I noticed that when Lou Smith was asking John about what exactly he saw when he got down here, John was fumbling around talking about, Lou asked him, what's the first thing you saw? He's like, what, a chair, and there's a chair in the way of a door, and I had to fight to get the chair out of the way of the door. And I'm struggling because I don't understand what door he's talking about. He had to get he acted like he had to fight to get in the basement, and the basement is wide open. So I don't know what he was talking about. That's what I'm confused about. And like, yes, there's junk here, but when Lou asked him, like, what is the first thing did you see? What did you notice? I would expect the answer like, man, I looked up, I saw a box here, I saw this chair, I noticed some papers thrown on the ground. Of course, my son's play set right there. That's what I would have expected. But he just said, I just saw a box, a chair, and some junk. Dale's very vague. So that's what's interesting to me about his response. He's extremely vague. And it's like, clearly, if you walk down these steps, the first thing that I would see, and the way that I might describe it is, okay, I came around the corner. Of course, I got the door to my left, the closet to my left. I see a box. I see a chair. I look immediately straight. And of course, I see my wine cellar. I'm noticing my wine cellar. I'm noticing that there's a piece of wood. Of course, my son's train set is to the right. And of course, we have all these decorations and stuff like that right here. I look to my right and I look on the ground, and there seems to be some sort of paper all over the place. Of course, we got this and that. So I really didn't notice anything out of place from what we've done, but I did notice that, or this is specifically here, that's what I would have expected, but he didn't say that. And the messiness in the basement looks pretty consistent with the rest of the home. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. Well. What do we have here? A washer and a dryer. This is what I was wondering, because if I'm trying to think about placing the crime scene where everything happened, how can we crunch down and say, where did everything happen? Because I'm wondering if it happened in the kitchen with the pineapple, or I'm wondering if it happened in the basement. But I'm wondering, wherever it happened, we have to have things within arm's reach. We have to have things close. So if JonBenet travels downstairs with a blanket or something like that, if she had her blanket and the blanket came from the dryer, if she travels down the stairs, she comes down with her favorite blanket and something happens to her, we have to have things close to grab. Whoever would have done this would have, all right, I need things close to grab. So I was wondering if there was another washing machine. I think there was a laundry room on the second floor close to JonBenet's room. I was like, so maybe they ran upstairs to wash and dry her stuff, because the housekeeper, I don't think, would have been there. And to me, if they're pulling JonBenet's favorite blanket out of the washer or the dryer, that means it was already washed. Now my question becomes, was that washed by itself? Who knew? How do we know that it came out of the dryer? I got to look more into that. Number one, how do we know that it came out of the dryer? Who told us that? In terms of, did the cop show up and the blanket was just there on JonBenet? And then Patsy and John said, we found this blanket in the dryer. Or how do we know that it came from the dryer is confusing me. If you went down and got her and there was a blanket over her and you pulled her up and the blanket came from the dryer, how do we know the blanket came from the dryer? That's what I'm kind of confused about. Let me know in the comments what I'm missing. But anyways, assuming that the blanket came from the dryer, if the blanket came from the dryer, then it probably came from this dryer, because this dryer would have been closer to the crime scene. So nobody would have had to run upstairs and pull something or retrieve something from the dryer. But also too, if you washed it, did it come out with other clothes? When it came out of the dryer, did it come out with other clothes? Did Patsy have to do, was this washed because earlier on in the day, Patsy said, I'm going to do some laundry. And so she washed that along with some other clothes. And then before she left for the Christmas party, that's what I'm saying. That would have had to take some pre-planning. She would have had to done some pre-planning and then said, before we go to the Christmas party, I'm going to wash these clothes. Got enough time, got about an hour or two for the wash to go through, then take it out and put it in the dryer. So when we get back home, it's ready to be pulled out of the dryer. And so whoever this individual is who's intruding, if it would have happened in the basement or wherever it would have happened, where would that cover have come from? Was that cover by itself? Are these questions being asked of Patsy and John? Was that in the dryer by itself? Because if it was, this is why I'm saying that, because if it was in the washer, if it was in the dryer by itself, then that indicates that it was washed and dried alone. And what I mean by that is, say for example, if you go to work and you have a uniform that you need to wear the next day, but you don't have a full load. Well, then I'm just going to put my uniform in. I have to. I usually don't do this, but I have to put a full load in. So then I have to dry it by itself as well. Why do I make that point? Because If I put in a single item in the washer and the dryer, and that single item comes out by itself, then that means that this was a special case in which JonBenet's blanket was washed and dried. And of course, maybe DNA would have been washed away and dried away, of course. But did they take any swabs or anything, or any samples? Do we know any of that? Did we put the light in there just to check and double check and cover our steps just to make sure? Did we do that? And I'm asking that because in the Jodi Arias case, she tried to watch the camera and the camera came out fine. There's been many cases in which people have tried to destroy evidence. They try to destroy computers and the cops have retrieved the hard drive, and the hard drive is in disarray, but they've been able to pull photos and everything about what the individual was doing off of the computer. And so I'm asking, were we thorough enough here to look in the dryer with the light and say, if it came from this dryer, what do we see? But nevertheless, I think this is the dryer that JonBenet's cover came from. If that's what Patsy and John are telling us, this is where the intruder would have got it from. So they're setting the stage that everything would have happened in the basement. And to not really come down to the basement a lot when they were asking Patsy about how much time do you spend in the basement? All the Christmas stuff is here. You got gifts and everything. You got, it looks like a shirt, a package of shirts and stuff like that. Wondering if the Bloomingdale undergarments are in there as well, somewhere along the lines, because I was reading where they were talking about Patsy was fuzzy again on whether she got one or two packages, one for JonBenet and one for her daughter Jenny or her niece Jenny Davis, two different sizes, in on a trip to New York with JonBenet. Some other, I think her sister and her mom and some other folks, I think it was a girls trip, seemed like. They were asking her, how many did you buy? She was like, I think one or two. And so one would have been for JonBenet and the second would have been for Jenny Davis. And so it looks like all of the gift wrapping stuff is down here, which means that you would have had to come down here quite frequently, especially around the holidays. So yeah, like you spent a good amount of time down here. I've got everything hooked up. You got the scissors, the bows, the ribbons, the this, the that. You got it all. I'm also noticing that there's not a lot of spillover. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of things knocked down. Like, not a very rough and crime scene, or like very crime scene. Like, everything, like, house is dirty upstairs. We saw that. But your basement is pretty much the same way so far from what we've seen. The basement is pretty much the same way. It seems like whatever happened down here was contained or confined to a certain place. These, like, we check on these, like, is this coming from like being a kid and just kids being kids, boom, I hit the door, or I hit the wall and tore it up or something like that? Or is this like punching the wall? Like, what is that? If I'm looking at this, I'm wondering if they took this in and measured it against JonBenet's stun gun marks. You'd be thorough and just kind of sure. So as we're going through here, apparently, if I look at the schematic, I'm working my way into the laundry room and we're going into the storage room, in case you're confused. So came down the stairs and took my right and headed into the laundry room. On my right, my left-hand side would have been the hobby room or Burke's room, leading back to the storage where the window, and you keep on going back there where the window was. And I guess we're going to go, they should go back down that way as well here in a minute. But we've completely at this point negated the wine cellar. which is interesting to me. Because if you are a cop and you go down there to check out the basement, if you're telling me, if I'm believing what you're telling me, and you go down there and you check out the basement, as the cop, you have two paths. What the heck? You have two paths. You have going toward the boiler room and the wine cellar that's open. There's nothing prohibiting you from going that direction, unless you wanted to wait for backup because it was kind of dark down there and maybe you don't know who's down there. Or you go to the right with all the lights on with Burke's train station and stuff like that, and you take a quick look around and you really say, I don't see anything, maybe because you didn't expect anything to be down there because everything's so messy. And so it's like, man, I really can't see anything down here. But you've ever lived in an area where there's snakes to be hiding under logs or anything like that, you turn over everything just to make sure. It's like, man, I got logs over here, I got old stuff over here, I got tires and this and that and third. And before you know it, you gotta, obviously you grab something like this to cut things over just to make sure there's not a snake or anything living under there if you haven't this area. So I'm wondering if they didn't even take a look at this. So going back to the storage room behind the laundry, ironing board, okay. In those trash bags, like that. Are those golf clubs? Hey, wait a minute. This is a mess. I guess they don't have lights in here. Why is that randomly knocked down? Everything else is like, it's up, sitting upright, but that's like knocked down. Maybe something fell over on it, of course. Got the filing cabinet. I thought I saw some golf clubs. Eat boy. To the right. Hold on, bro. Bro, you just walking past valuable information. Yeah, it's a set of golf clubs. What is that doing there? Why are there golf clubs sitting right there? Why would there be golf clubs sitting right there? All right. Let's skip forward a little bit. I don't understand why there are golf clubs in this room. How many golf clubs did John Ramsey have? Or golf bags? Yeah, those are golf clubs. So I'm coming out of this room. All right. And I'm making my way back to the front. Yo, there's a lot. It's exactly is happening down here. There's like rhyme or reason. Yo, this is how I know y'all been down here. Because if y'all had not been down here frequently, then things would have been more tidy than this. This literally looks like somebody is coming down here and using different isolated parts of this basement for different things and then getting up and leaving because they don't have to clean it or they don't have to do anything with it. It's not important because you have a random chair here by the sink. Maybe JonBenet climbs up here to get something off the sink, or got a sink right here, so maybe she's getting her hair washed or something. But you have random things in different places. Maybe somebody came down here to talk on the phone or whatever. Oh, this is Burke's thing. Okay. And a Gentleman. It's a pretty good movie. More gift wrapping stuff. I've seen this before in still photos. The Dr. Pepper can is sitting right there. I just didn't know where it was in proximity to Burke's thing, Burke's playroom, so his train set. So my question becomes, first of all, did we do an analysis of what was in the Ramsey's refrigerator? Cokes or whatever? Did we have any analysis of what was in there to track and see if they had Dr. Peppers, Sprites, Cokes, whatever? And did we do an analysis to understand what kind of drinks that each person in the family likes to drink? Because I'm wondering, based on the proximity of this Dr. Pepper to the train set, if this is Burke's drink. Because I say that because I'm wondering if Burke is playing with my train set. I'm doing my thing, and I could turn around because Burke is he's independent, and he is a quiet thinker. He doesn't like to be bothered. He doesn't like loud noises. He doesn't like a bunch of motion and annoyance going on around him. And so Burke is quietly playing, doing his thing. Turn around and I get my Dr. Pepper and I put it back. That's where I need. And then I go back to fixing my train set, or I go back to working on my train set. So I'm wondering if that belongs to him. Okay, wondering also about this too, because you have looks like a marker up here. You have whatever this little red looking thing below the marker, and then you have what looks like two pieces of train tracks toward the bottom. These kind of misplaced to me because these train tracks should be closer to the train set. Whatever that is, the red thing above it or whatever that is, should be out of the way if Burke needs to step back. The marker's okay, but if Burke needs to step back, you got these wires in his way. So that might seem like it would annoy him. The suitcase just kind of too perfectly placed here because the not consistent with the messiness of everything else, because everything is just strewn about. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just set here and I use this and I'm done. Okay, wait a minute. This must mean that somebody was sitting here. That marker is there. So that's an elephant. So somebody was working on some art. That's why that marker is right there. And this little red thing must be some sort of holding, maybe. Super blurry. But this is a workspace. I got my train set. Nah, this is a workspace. Got my train set here, but I got my elephant drawing right here. So this would be willing to bet that this is Burke's workspace. He works right here. Meaning that Burke is going to do, this is his area of the house. This is his workshop. So it makes sense naturally that the train tracks would be, or the train set would be put where it is, because this is Burke's area. This is his. If that Dr. Pepper belongs to him, this is my set. I'll turn around, boom, 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 drink my stuff, and then get back to work. So this is his stuff. This is his domain. And you got to stay away from his domain. But this stuff right here, this messy, like, see all this messiness thing strewn about in the middle of the floor? Either somebody was playing with something, or they pulled something out, or they were going through something and throwing things out, and or they picked up something and just dumped it out on the floor and didn't put everything back in. But you see how like a bunch of messiness, but then the suitcase is just like on, like not tipped over. It's not anything. It's just straight on. It's kind of weird to me. And it's like placed right under the middle window. Okay, more holes. So maybe those other holes had to do with like construction. Yeah, that would make sense. Like the construction of the home and trying to get lines through walls and stuff. That right there. It would be so perfectly placed under the window, like Sean. That would be perfectly placed straight on under the window in this room full of messy things. In this room full of chaos, this is perfectly straight. But also look at how the window is positioned open. Either this intruder was in a hurry and forgot to close the door behind him, which is crazy, because if this intruder, that would indicate that the intruder was in a rush. And if the intruder was in a rush, then he would have left that open, of course. But if the intruder was really in a rush, he would have ran immediately after JonBenet's scream would have alarmed everything. And JonBenet would not be dead. After the scream, JonBenet would not be dead, but even if she was, he would have put her down. He would not have put her down. He would not have gone around to the washer and dryer to get something to cover her up, and then be that meticulous all throughout the house, and then jump out and leave the window open. That's my argument. He would have lightly closed it behind him and got up and ran. And do we have footprints on the top of that suitcase? We should, because he would have had to push down, on top of that suitcase. To get up. And that suitcase is not close enough to the window. Whoever did this must have been like tall, super skinny, to be able to get there, because this suitcase is not close enough to the window. Mm-hmm. Somebody cleared the glass here on this left side of the frame. They went up at the top. This is somebody, I think, because this glass is on this left-hand side right here. This glass has been cleared. Like you hit something, like hit glass with a bat, and the glass is just like, it kind of all over the place. And then this is hit with something because I don't see any blood here. Do I see blood? Is that blood? No, that's not blood. So whoever did this, again, meticulous. If this was the intruder, they were meticulous because they cleared off that left-hand side in order not to hurt themselves, just to make sure that they could reach in, probably with their left hand. And whoever reached in with their left hand would have known, I guess, knew where that knob was. They would have known where the knob was because they didn't do it here. They didn't clear off the glass here to the right side, but they did it to the left side to protect their arm right here. Yeah, that's cleared out. And even enough at the top. That is a wide gap. Whoever did that, and yo, hold on. Whoever did that, it got some cobwebs up there too. That's weird. But whoever did that created a wide enough space to get in. And that is important because did they make noise? What did they hit this with? Because they broke this. And I know we're saying John, but I'm stepping back for a second and assuming that it's not John. What if it wasn't John? Well, they're saying it was John 3 months prior. But I don't know about that. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe it was because maybe they took great care to they took great care to get in. Maybe it was John several months prior. I don't know, man. But somebody cleared this window out so they could get in with unlock this door with no problem. But I don't know about that. Those leaves are not cleared out. Those leaves right there should have been moved. There should have been a path. Because if I'm coming up, if I'm propelling myself up through this, that leaf should not be there. I'm coming up and I'm tripping and I'm kicking and I'm sliding my feet to because I need to set my hands right here where that flashlight, the beam of the flashlight is. I need to set my hand somewhere around there because if you remember, this is not a very big space. If you remember videos, I think it was Lou Smith or somebody was standing all the way up and their legs were down here. So this is somebody that has to brace themselves before they get up and push the metal vent up. If the vent is still there, they could have moved it and left it off for a second, which begs the question, did they put it back? And that's what I'm saying. If that vent was put back when the police found it in the initial investigation, then that would signify that this criminal, this intruder, would have been careful to close this window if he was careful to put the vent back. That's what, come on, man, it's the consistency factor. Hey, wait a minute. Those cobwebs are intact. Hold on. Those cobwebs have... That spider web has eggs in it. Those are eggs. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Those are eggs, yo. Come on. Whoever did this, that window was so small. If you can't fit the briefcase outside of it, then that means that you would have been kind of crunched. If you can't fit that briefcase outside of it, according to the intruder theory, then you would have been kind of going through there. And if you were smushed, you were big enough to be to kind of smush going through, then that little clearing right there would have been gone. That spider web would have been gone. You would have had to, as a person pushing yourself up, either you're pushing yourself with your hands together, pushing up like that, or you have to have a wide base. And whoever did this had to have some height on them to stretch from the suitcase up here, but then they have to propel themselves up through here. That cobweb, that spider web with those eggs would have been gone. That would have been on the individual's elbow, if anything, or their arm or their elbow. That would have been gone. Nobody went through that window. I could give you John coming through that window months prior. I could give you that. But nobody went out through that window. Nah. It's too undisturbed. Yeah, I don't see nothing that. I want to see the rest of the floor. No, what was that? I'm looking for this thing right here at the bottom, close to the radar. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with Patsy's little art set. Okay, upstairs. Okay, to the living room. I don't know why he didn't turn the lights on. Why are you walking around with the camera in the dark? With a flashlight? Why are you doing this? So apparently John bought her upstairs. They said that he had her like this. He bought her upstairs like that, like her away from his body. I think heard somewhere. And then he bought her up and laid her right here. Or later in this room somewhere. Which is really weird that you would do that. The Christmas tree. I call my friends. My friends come in. Me and Fleet go downstairs. And I go get the body. And I bring it directly right here because that would have made sense. And so our friends would have been sitting. Let me see. I got my couch and I got my, I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a chair. But how are people coming in? The couch, got a couch and a chair. So my friends would be in here with me. My friends and the cop would be standing over here, probably out of sight. And then my friends would be in here with me, sitting on the couch. That is a huge tree. Yeah. She would have had to lay her right in the middle of the floor somewhere. I guess right here, with what looks like this little white thing. And whatever that is right above it. It's just so grainy. Okay, to my left, there's a piano, yeah. Yeah, you come straight up. Boom, right here in the middle of the floor is crazy. Okay, the friends would have been sitting over here on this couch. I don't know who all you invited, but they would have either had to part for you and let you come through, or they would have been off to this side over here. What a mess. Yeah. Do some more digging. See what I can't find, man, because those golf clubs really caught me off guard. They caught me by surprise. Need to do some more research on the golf clubs. I'm interested in that. So, yeah, the video. Like, subscribe, you know what to do. Comment. Let me know your thoughts. You know, give me input, whatnot, your experiences and your perspective and stuff like that. Greatly appreciated. Yeah. Next video. Take it easy.